Making zombies costume. In the project file, we'll make the zombies cloth using panel method with Maya's curves and put the cloth on the character. First, when you check zombies costume, there are 3 layers of cloth, which are trouser, inner top, and outer shirts. Especially for the upper cloth edge on character's body has been rolled up with some more detail. When you check on the pattern curve, they are put in order from the inside to the outside of cloth. So let's begin to work on the trouser first. Making zombies trouser. Now we'll make zombies custom pattern with Maya's curve tool. First, in order to make trousers belt, select EP curve tool on Maya's shelf panel. Then draw the first curve from the center waist in counterclockwise. For the second curve, hit G key on your keyboard, then while pressing the C key, in other words, while having your snap turned on, start drawing the next curve line from the first curve's endpoint. With the same procedure, draw the rest curve lines. Reason why you draw 2 curves for lower parts of the belt is to give better fit, meaning because the waist is thinner than the hip, we need 2 curves to give better custom fit. Then let's draw out the rest curve patterns as well. When you're done drawing the curve, select all the curves and hit F8 to switch to component mode. Then set it to exact vertical shape using the scale tool. Next, switch back to object mode. Group the selected curves. Name the group. Now, edit your pivot's position, then make the pattern curve groups duplicate by hitting Ctrl D to make the opposite pattern curve group. For the last part, name your group. Drawing the same trouser pattern with same steps. To make hips volume, you should draw trousers pattern curves like the project file. Also, in order to make a hips volume, draw a dart shape like pattern curve. Then draw the rest of pattern curves. When you're done drawing the pattern curves, select the pattern curves that you need to make curved shape. Then give rebuild command on the curve so it'll make us to add spans to draw a better curved shape. Next, edit the curves in your desired shape. When you're done editing the curves, create and name the curve group. Copy the pattern curve group. To make pattern curves on the opposite side of the trouser, rotate to Y coordinate in 180-degree angle. Lastly, create and name the curve group. Let's create backside of trousers pattern curve. Now, select trousers from pattern curve group, then create a new group named as pants front. Copy the pants front group and change the group's name. Use the same naming for other groups below. Then edit the curves in your desired shape. For the last step, change your mode into perspective view and align the pattern curve group to the place you want. Let's now build up the costumes meshed with cloth. First, let's sort out all pattern curve group in the outliner. Then, select one of curve pattern groups in the outliner. Go to cloth and click on create pattern command. Then, select the other curve group and press G on your keyboard to create cloth custom mesh. With the same procedure, repeat these steps to finish creating other custom mesh. Let's make a seam on customs mesh to make a trouser. Apply create seam command after selecting pattern curves that are facing each other in cloth. You can check that the customs mesh is being seamed. With the same procedure, seam rest parts of the customs mesh as well. Be cautious with seaming two pattern curves on lower part of the belt. Make sure you seam the front and the back side separately. Once you're done seaming the front and back, in the viewport click on Trouser pattern icon, then increase discretizer resolution, then flip normals to finish editing the trouser. Increase discretizer resolution. Then select the flip normals. In the channel box, put 1 in flip normal field so it flips to its normal view. You can check that it's returned to its normal view. Putting cloth on the character. Hide all necessary parts and sort out each part in their groups in the outliner. In order to not have the trouser to penetrate character's body, select the trouser's mesh and character's mesh respectively. Then apply Create Collider in cloth. More so, in order to not have the trouser to fall down, select the trouser's mesh, go into vertex mode, then select vertices that are on the belt's upper parts. Lastly, apply Constraint in Constraint Plane menu in cloth. Put 1 in y-axis and put 0 for x and z-axis in the attributes, so the trouser won't fall down in y-axis. Select the solver in the outliner. Go to Attribute Editor and set the frame sample value to 4. Then make self-collision active in the collision attributes, so the cloth will have self-collision. Select QL Cloth node, assign to per frame cache folder under Cache Attributes folder in Cloth Shape, and name your cache. Lastly, select a trouser mesh and begin local simulation in cloth to put trouser on the character. Add the pattern curves and fitting the cloth on character. Let's begin to fit the trouser on the character, as editing its shape so it can be sewed up. Before we start editing the trouser shape, let me explain why we have to edit the pattern curve as we look into Node Editor. Select the Customs Mesh and open Node Editor in Maya. In the Node Editor, click on Input and Output icon, so we can see the entire node that was made for creating Customs Mesh. From left to right, we can see all connected nodes and figure out why we have to edit the first Maya's curve. In the curve group that is set up with Maya's curve, create QL pattern node, and this QL pattern node will be seamed in QL seam node. And the seamed costume will be changed in its resolution in QL discretizer. Also, QL cloth node that is generated based on customs material property. This QL cloth nodes are taken as input for simulation process, one as time node and the other as QL solver node. And to make this viewable in Maya, create QL cloth output node is created for shading process. This QL cloth output node will be connected as shading group node. Now, turn custom meshes pattern curve group to unhide. If you have the constraint that was made in beforehand, make sure you delete them all. We delete the constraint because constraint vertices' inherent index numbers are changed while editing the curve. The constraint that's made with previous inherent index will be crashed to constraint vertices, so they don't crash. Make sure you check whether there is a problem in the constraint parts or not when your simulation stops. If you're done deleting the constraint, select Required Pattern Curve Group that needs some editing. Press F8 to change into component mode. Start editing the curve after you select the control vertex. Then the cloth will update the custom mesh automatically. Make sure snapped curves endpoint and the begin point are not distant to each other. If you find the cloth is not draped properly during its simulation, make sure you check this part while draping. Then let's edit other pattern curves, make a new plane constraint, and begin the simulation to finish fitting the trouser. Adding details on cloth with reshape command. Let's add some more details on the trouser with using the reshape command. The trouser on the right is the object made for making the reshape. The trouser in the center is the final reshape object. Reshape is a command that is used for adding a new shape, and in order to apply reshape, make sure your costume mesh has the same topology as reshape command. Then let's select the trouser on the right and apply create cloth to create cloth mesh. After you select the trouser and the character, apply create collider, so the costume is not penetrating the character. Select the upper portion of vertices of trouser and the character, then apply attach constraint. Make sure selected vertices are stuck on the character's body. Select the trouser, go into paint attributes, and start painting the rubber map. When you're done painting, begin local simulation to get the results you want. In this project file, I'll be using pre-made reshape mesh. Select the original costume and pre-made reshape mesh in order. Then apply Connect Objects Reshape command. Select the actual costume and begin local simulation so you can finish your production. When you're done with production for its simulation, turn off pre-made constraint into active or else delete it. Then add attach constraint that we need to polish the shot. Attach constraint allows us to have selected vertices to move along with the object's surface as it is attached on it. So it is often used when you need to make the costume to move along with moving character. Let's attach specific vertices on character's mesh. It's better to keep and manage the costumes that is made for building and shop production use separately. Create other cloth. For now, we'll make the inside of the top cloth. Like when you make the trouser, with the same procedure, draw out the pattern curves and edit them. Then make the pattern curve group. In the outliner, select the inside upper cloth bottom pattern group. Then click on Create Pattern to apply it on the customs mesh. In Create Patterns option panel, select the solver that was made in beforehand, so we can run simulation in just one solver. With that, we can simulate with just one solver for multiple layers of costume. It will manage to calculate self-collision that occurs in multiple costumes to each other automatically. Furthermore, this workflow allows us to use the trouser's collider setting that was made in beforehand. There is no need of adding collider on inner cloth. With the same procedure, create the rest of cloth. When you're done creating the costumes mesh, select the pattern curves that face each other. Click on Create Seam command, so it becomes a part of costumes mesh. When you're finished with simming, click on Pattern icon in the viewport, then raise Costume Mesh Resolution to 120 in the channel box. Select Costume Mesh and begin local simulation to put the cloth on the character. Select the top cloth and red shape mesh that we already have in order. Click on Connect Red Shape command to apply it to add details. Depending on your needs, sculpt your red shape mesh from other sculpting applications, as we maintain the costume's topology. Select the neck portions of vertices, then apply Attach constraint to attach it on the character. Turn on Soft in Attach Constraints channel box. Then put 0.75 for stiffness value and put 0 for damping. Run local simulation to finish up the inner portion of the cloth. With the same procedure, make up the outer portion of Zombie's cloth to finish it.